Welcome back to the podcast today with me, Johnny Pardo. And today I welcome my friend Kelly onto the show. And I'm really excited to speak to Kelly, having met her recently. We're going to be talking about high performance. We're going to be talking about empowering yourself, finding more purpose and more freedom in your life, and much, much more. So I'm just going to quickly introduce Kelly and then we'll dive into our conversation today. So Kelly is a transformation expert, angel investor, and certified high performance coach on a mission to empower female founders and CEOs to lead with purpose and freedom. Kelly has built, scaled, and sold hundreds of hospitality businesses, including Pizza Express and the Ivy Collection, founded Edge Commercial and co-founded the One of Five Club and the High Performance Collective, and owns an award-winning cocktail bar, which she's run hands-free for 17 years. With 20,000 hours of learning, 10,000 hours of coaching, and over $500,000 invested in personal growth, Kelly blends strategy with soul, helping women redefine wealth as wellness, joy, and deeply meaningful relationships. So, Kelly, welcome to the show today. I'm really, really glad to have you on board today.
Thank you, Johnny. It's brilliant to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I'm really excited to see what value I can add and the great conversation that we can have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, we met recently at a Danny Morell that I've mentioned in a few episodes recently. Danny Morell's Awaken in London. Great opportunity to sort of like deep dive in ourselves and all areas of life and meet individuals who are doing the same as well from all walks of life. So I had the privilege of going for dinner with Kelly and a few others, and we had some great conversations. So I knew I had to have Kelly on the podcast today. So yeah, Kelly, you're obviously a woman who's some might see as very, very impressive bunch of things you're doing, you know, like all these businesses, you're serving women, you're doing all of these things. Be really interesting to hear have you always been like this driven from a young age, or
So
was there a like turning point which suddenly like made you really interested in doing all of this?
it's such a great question. And one thing when I hear you reading it, I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty impressive, doesn't it? So one thing you'll always get with me is a massive dose of modesty, right? When I read it out, I'm like, is it there yet? Are we there yet? Is he finished? Is he finished? Is he finished? Because it's never about the doing or the
Mm,
getting. And I do get that I've been on a journey and done a lot of stuff in my life. And your question to me is it have I always been like that? And it's beautiful, right? Because it's when you have opportunities where you meet someone. I met a journalist who said, I want to interview you for your Entrepreneurs magazine. I said, yeah, great, no problem. I say yes to more things than I say no to.
mm,
And it was only in that conversation, Johnny, that I realized when she asked me, as you guys amazingly do, podcast brilliant, right? The powerful question that opens up something that I'd never even seen for myself. She said, what were you doing when you were 8 or 9 years old? I was like, oh, moving house loads. My parents used to just buy and sell and move and all that. They were always trying to get to a place where they didn't have a mortgage. That was so it meant I
mm,
moved schools loads of times, all the things. But one of the things that I did, she said, what did you love about it? I went, I loved it, right? Because I would get all the sandwiches, make cups of tea, and go and sell it to the builders. And I'd get the money and then go down the sweet shop and buy sweets for all the kids in the block so that they'd like me because I had to move houses so many times. And also I love doing it. Like the kind of like they like me kind of thing was because I moved schools, the new kid all the time. Yeah, that was me
mm.
7 or 8 times, sometimes in a year, right? So we moved the house a lot. So she said, oh, wow, you showed entrepreneurial flair when you were that age. I was like, well, I was just surviving. And it's not until someone points it out, which is the beauty of relationship and connection, that you
Mm.
get to see yourself in someone else's listening, how they see you or what they see, because it's their area of expertise. So I hope that answers the question. So it's always been there. And for me now, having done the hours and done the 9 yards and had the dark nights of the soul and transformed and all the things, I really get that it is who I am and who I'm meant to be. Like we both done Danny's stuff. It was just another affirmation that I'm here to make a difference with people. I'm here of service. I helped buy, build, and sell them amount of
Mm.
business. I class myself as a kingmaker. not distinguished by sex, but I literally have people win the game they're playing by uncovering their blind spots. It's not very comfortable for them to do that sometimes because we want to hold on to who we think we are,
Mm.
so we can't get to the next version. But when we let go, the gold that's on the other side of that is beautiful. And I'm not talking about money. Money's a byproduct of who you become, right? I'm talking about the joy, like you said to me earlier on before we started recording, like the smile on my
Mm.
face, right?
Yeah.
It's always there because I'm full of joy. Yes, I know how to down regulate. I do my stuff to do that, but that's that. Did
Mm.
I answer the question?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
good.
it's really interesting. Yeah, like I agree with you when sometimes people ask you, like even you asking me questions before this, when you get asked questions, you sometimes go, "Oh yeah," go insightful. Like I recently joined a community further, and I've probably had somewhere between 5 and 10 conversations with people. I'm just like, I want to speak to them. I want to speak to them, and you learn a lot by speaking to other people and just having those conversations every day. It's so powerful, and I love the awareness that journalist opened up for you in terms
Yeah.
of, oh, I was doing this, selling to the builders the sandwiches, and then going. I love that. That's awesome.
My
That's
mum would
really
get very pissed off because she'd go to the cupboard and go, "Where's all the ham gone? How come I can't feed my family?" Like, what's I'd be so, she
Kelly.
secretly loved it, right? But I'd get a little bit of like Kelly, like that going on around it. But like you said, the
Yeah.
world occurs outside of us.
Mm,
And often in our mind, we think the world is over here in our mind. I had this beautiful saying that someone along the way said to me that your mind is like Harlem, in the States. Like it's a pretty dangerous place to hang out. There ain't nothing really good going on often up there unless you've evolved
mm,
yourself and done the work. Like don't hang out here. The world's occurring outside of you. So let's have conversations. Dark nights of the soul, feeling down. Go chat to the barista. Go say hello to someone, even if they don't say hello to you. Like whatever. Like get out of yourself in order to get connected.
mm. I love that. I want to, yeah, I want to touch a bit on the dark night of the soul and what that is for you, because I've not like come across that term until like a few months ago, and I'm really going to like Eckhart Tolle's stuff, and then it came up, and then I hear it from Danny. It's funny when something just gets thrown around and it's suddenly everywhere within your kind of like awareness. But yeah, what is
Yeah.
the dark night of the soul for you?
Okay, for me personally, like my truth around it is a transition period, right? So
Mm,
it's an embracement. It's not comfortable. So it's when things get really dark, like, the mindset in the world of, and it's not to say like I'm not a doctor or anything like that, from a depression point of view, like when you feel like the darkness, like it's no good, like nothing's happening and it's dark inside,
mm,
that dark night of the soul, for me, when my clients get it, I'm like, oh, you're gonna hate this, but you're gonna love you, and you're gonna hate me while we're doing it because I get really excited. And that energy is an energy of love and holding space. And
mm,
it's not I only meet what someone where they're at, but I will never go down to where they're at, if you know what I mean. Like, but what it allows for is you're transitioning who you used to be into who you're now becoming. So people like you and I, Johnny, and the beautiful work that you do in bringing this work to whoever's listening, and good for you for listening, by the way. Why? Because you're meant to be here to hear this
mm,
conversation. So kudos to you. You're someone that's intrigued and curious. Curiosity is a beautiful way to be. Generosity, curiosity, and being grateful are like the three energy gears that you constantly want to strive. I know it's an everyday process. It's probably an every hour process, if I'm really honest, that I'm constantly checking in with myself. Am I being curious? Am I being generous? Why? Because it all exists outside of me. Does that make sense, Johnny? Yeah.
yeah.
So the dark night of the soul is simply a transition period that you're becoming someone new. So you might find that certain friend groups like, just
Mm,
it's not doing it for me when I go out with them. I come back and I feel a bit lower than I did before I went out. And I was quite happy before I went out. That's the universe giving you a message that, hey, maybe it's time to move on. You can still love them. I'm not saying don't go and lose all your friends, right? But
mm,
like conscious contact with how you might spend that time, being self-aware. The dark night of the soul is the transition period. So it's like at every level there's another devil. Like so
mm,
it's quite an interesting going inwards to know that you're transitioning through growth.
mm,
So it may well be you're dropping people pleasing. Like, hey, like you said, you heard this word and then you go and use it. That's, you know, have you experienced that?
Yeah, like certainly even like in the last year, like things like, giving up alcohol and then actually deciding to go with my friends are all around one massive like barbecue, and they're good people, no one's forcing anyone to drink, it's not like that at all. But everyone's around, having a can except me, but I'm just kind of like there and then like talking, but the kind of the conversations that I want to be having just doesn't feel there anymore, and I just feel really out of place. And actually remember like leaving, I'm just feeling like really sad inside. But then I can remember getting something like Awaken or some of my other groups or people I know and talking to them and just feeling really alive.
Mhm.
So yeah, but like 10, like even 5 years ago, that kind of sitting around a barbecue and having a drink would have like really like lit me up. But then it was just like, no, it just
You
something feels
transition.
off. Yeah.
Beautiful. But that's it, right? You've transitioned. That now longer doesn't mean you won't do it. You can't do it, but probably you
Mm,
do it consciously. Like you know what serves you is having beautiful conversations like these with amazing people that you meet.
mm,
Because you're being of service. The being of service doesn't align with sitting around. So, I mean, I don't watch TV, haven't done it. I thought it was really weird when I was a young woman as a surveyor in the West End when I wouldn't read a newspaper. I wouldn't watch the news, and I never told anyone because I was like, they're going to think I'm stupid. What will I have to talk about at a dinner party if I don't know about politics, if I don't know about this, or I don't know current
mm,
affairs? The only reason I never did it is because it didn't serve me. I'd end up with my makeup. I'd read a newspaper, I'd start crying by the state of the world or the fact that I couldn't help
mm,
that person. I'm sitting on a train all dressed to the nines going like certain things that you do in life and always, sorry, everything that you do in life is always leading you to the next level of you. That's the way that I love to look at it. Why even the crappy stuff. I mean, life does lifing. It's not to say that it's bloody uncomfortable when it does its things to send you some lessons and some messages. That can cause a dark night of the soul, but that's it, we might not know that, the saying of that it happens for you and not to you.
mm,
Yeah, that comes out the other side, the for you bit. When you're in it, it's like,
mm,
what the hell's going on?
yeah.
That's why it's important to have environment. I know you joined the collective, and that was part like having that environment around you to hold you to account and to level up your energy so that you can get to be with
Mm,
people that are journeying and they're growing, as opposed to not growing, like sitting around numbing oneself with there's nothing. Well, listen, I love a beautiful glass of wine, but I drink to celebrate something,
mm,
never commiserate something or check out. It's to check in, to be hospitable or something like that. It's been and I own bars. I bought and sold them. Life. So, the
absolutely.
journey with those things that are there as a crutch is an interesting one.
Mm, mm. No, thanks for your perspective on that. And yeah, I like what you said about not like numbing out. That's certainly something I've experienced. I know many people have experienced in that. And I was going to ask you earlier, but it kind of like touches on what you talked about in terms of going through maybe the dark night. And a lot of people out there, and I've been there many many times, can feel a little bit stuck sometimes. What do I want to do in life? Where do I want to go? I know in your journey you've done many many different things, and you've taken on many different roles, which is amazing with your high energy. But yeah, for the individual who's maybe a little bit stuck on like, okay, this isn't serving me anymore. I don't feel right with this. And that's okay. We're in that transition, but they're like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know who I want to be. Is there any guidance when that person's really stuck in that state that
Oh.
you'd offer?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So first and foremost, there's nothing for you to do. Acknowledge it, be aware of it, notice it, as you just so beautifully said, like you can feel that there's a sense of is this the right job for me? Is this the right career? Right. If you're constantly asking yourself all these questions, then that's a different conversation, right? But if there's a yearning to do something, always had a yearning to come away from property and to coach and to lead and to mentor. It was very easy for me to make a huge living and I had a great respect. And, I was one of the top people. To do that, to then go back to the beginning again, takes a lot of courage, right? So you want to put yourself in the right environment. Start listening to Johnny. One of the things we don't do, let me give this in a framework, right? So to get clarity, about what you want and who you want to be, you got to get that the need for clarity is something you can't run away from. It's like ordering an Uber and not
Mm,
knowing where you're going. It just doesn't ever work out. You're going to go round and round in circles, or
mm,
it won't come pick you up, or you won't get there. All the versions of that, right? So first of all, to get the clarity is a safety place. Being outside of clarity is where the non-safety is. So the non-safety in self, the non-safety in the journey, you'll get there a hell. I wish I'd have known this when I was younger. That's why I do the work that I do. You get there quicker, you get there faster. Go and get a mentor, go and get a guide, go and get a coach, go and ask someone for help, because there are so many people out there like my good self, like you, Johnny, like you've been on the journey. There's always someone within one person distance to you. You go, hey, I need this. Do you know someone that can help me with? Human beings want to experience love and give love, no matter what anyone says. Some of
mm,
them are very wounded and it looks and shows up in a very weird way, but ultimately they experience it as giving love, right? But that framework is, first of all, awareness. Take some time out to look at what it is that you want. The wonderful thing in the age that we live in now, there is good sides to this and bad sides to this, but everything is at the end of our fingertips on our mobile phones. AI, the internet, Google, all of it, all the lessons that you ever need. I saw something the other day, like you can get a master in for free now, or something you normally pay hundreds of thousands of pounds for. You can go and get it for free on the internet now if you can be clear about where to go, what you want. Most people don't have clarity. So the first thing you want to do is get clear on what it is that you want to do. And if you can't get that clarity, put your hand up, ask for help.
mm.
That's the first step. Thereafter, come back, I'll give you the next one, right? Why? Because we always want step 25. We
Yeah.
don't want to do step one. Step one is the first and the most important step. It's called taking an action. Get out of here, get into here, and ask.
Mm.
The
I
other
love
thing
that.
is give yourself some space. We're talking about before we started talking, hey, or before you started recording, about how the internet and the consumption of that, people are paid hundreds of millions of pounds to distract us. And the
Mm,
more that we can give ourselves just an inch of time, even 15 minutes a day, to just be with no distractions, to allow our internal voice to be heard, because it's always talking to us. You know,
mm.
the voice on your head that I mean. Yeah, you know
Yeah.
that, Johnny, because you're evolved. Yeah. But
Mm.
if for our listeners out there, if you do not know what I'm talking about, we'll just be quiet for a second and hear what you hear. That's the voice I'm talking about. That one that you think is you is not you. You're the
Mm.
observer of your voice. That's where meditation and mindfulness comes in. You're not your voice. If you were, I think we'd all be in prison by now, wouldn't we?
Exactly. Yeah.
Just for road rage alone, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I love that. No, the one of the books we're reading at the moment as part of the material is The Untethered Soul, and that says a lot about the very early into it. I'm in 20 pages in, but it's already saying a lot about that inner voice. So far, I can recommend that as a resource, personally, for me. I find it really good as a book.
Definitely.
I love that. No, Kelly, like, say the individual, like, I like that, getting the awareness, finding some time for yourself, having that space that, like, you were touching on, we were touching on, is something that's not that encouraged or common in this day and age, when it's like screens, distractions, all this kind of thing. So, like, finding a bit of space, asking for help to actually get a bit more clarity. Maybe that's a coach, a mentor, a friend to just help you walk through the situation. For the individual who's like very like, okay, I know I want to do that, but is it really possible? Can I really do that? I don't think I'm worthy of that. Um, is that something you feel that we need to sit with ourselves with as well and work through some of that?
Yeah, for sure. They're limiting beliefs. So
Mm,
we all have a set of limiting beliefs. If you do not know what yours are, please do yourself a favor and do all the people around you who you love, do them a favor too. Write them down.
mm,
Write them down and look at them and get, okay, I've got the results that I've got in my life so far because I've got this set of beliefs. Your
mm,
ability to shift your beliefs is again a product of you doing the work. It literally, Johnny, you know this. I'm sure you've done it, right? Well, we've done it at Danny's anyway. I do it with all my clients, right? Is to look at what are you telling yourself? Because your RAS, your reticular activated system, it's part of neuroscience. It's a part in your brain. It's basically like the bouncer for your brain. It tells you what to pay attention to. You know the saying, if you go out and buy a red Volvo, you never really saw them, and then you look around, everyone's got them. I don't even know if Volvo exists anymore, right? But you know what I mean? Like that element of that is your RAS. So whatever you seek, whatever you tell yourself, you're going to get more of. So what are you telling yourself? It sounds so simple, but it's not easy. People will not sit down and do it because of fear, because they've got some A to Z-ness of whatever's going on or whatever the latest thing is to say that you've got that keeps you, again, distracted. That's not to say that people have got what they've got. I mean, everyone's an adult. They're listening to this conversation. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, do not let that thing get in your way, because it is. But what you think is keeping you safe is actually keeping you stuck from being your fullest, truest, authentic self and who you are meant to be, which is why oh, I don't think so. No, you're just not taking an action. People say, like, the procrastination, and you mentioned it earlier on, imposter syndrome. It doesn't exist. It's made up. They're words that are made up. All words are made up, right? There's no new words, by the way, unless the next generation make them up and then we all have to learn them. But there's no new words out there. You can be, do, have anything that you want, but it goes in that order. The being. Who are you being? Are you being someone that is great to be around? Are you your best? I've just recently started dating, John, and I've done the best journey. I'm definitely going to do a podcast on it because everyone hates online dating. I mean, like, hands up, everyone hates it, right? And no one has got anything great to say about it. And I'm like, oh, this is a problem. That's like hating cars that can't get you to a distance. Why would you hate the thing that's the delivery vehicle? Like, it's bonkers. 80% of us meet online now, right? Like 80% of new relationships are started. That's a high percentage. If I was at Ascot on Tuesday, if I'm betting on a horse and they say, I'm betting a lot of money on that horse, it's 80% likely to win. We've got it mixed up, our wiring. Makes sense? So whatever limiting belief, look up the RAS, your reticular activated system, and literally look at what that does. It's a radar. You're going to get the results of that. You think that pops out. Why? Because your mind creates your emotions. Your emotions will allow you to take an action or non-action. And then that is equals life, what your life looks like. If you are a miserable human being, people won't want to hang out with you. True or true?
True.
Yeah. Cool.
The be do have. Funny, had another guest on the other day, and he was saying it's not the have do be, as we're programmed to think that you get something, then you do something, and then you start being a certain way. It's the other way round. That you're sharing here. It's about like who you're being and what you're thinking and what you're focusing on.
I'm just going to polish up and give another level on that. Can I?
Oh yes, please. Yeah.
For the listeners to make sure. So there's a distinction between being and doing. It's the masculine and feminine energy. We won't dive into that because it doesn't really matter inside of this conversation. But just to know, for those of you, just go check it out, right? But when you're in the world of doing, there isn't a being, because often we're doing, and we're trying to chase a carrot, and then the energy comes behind it. Do. Because if I do enough of these hours and I do enough work and I work really hard and I either burn out, I do this, I do that, then I can have the car, then I'll be happy. Then I can have the house, the wife, the kids, the whatever it is. There's a carrot on the end of a stick that doesn't exist. It's made up. Again, a limiting belief. I'm an expert in building hands-free businesses. I love it, especially when I can do it with highly skilled people in the world of doing. When they get my new business partner, like, I say new, we've been together for 3 years, right? Incredible human being. And she's literally just created her dream business, and it's now hands-free, and she hated the words hands-free. She akined it to being lazy. Why? She built a 180 million pound company in 18 months. This woman is incredible, right? At doing, leading, being in that world, right? But she didn't know it was possible to have her dream, which is books. She's an author. She's writing. She's away on a writing retreat now as we speak. First time ever as a mother, and been married for 26 years, the first time she's ever been away. And she didn't just write one book, she's a super performer, right? She wrote a book, gave it to the most amazing editor. They went, no, this is a trilogy. Can we just have one? An overperformer. But I think I digress a little bit. But the world of doing is not the same as being. No matter what you do, you can never really have what you want, because where we're trying to get to is fulfillment. Fulfillment doesn't come from having material things. We all know someone that's got loads of stuff and they're not happy, and they
Mm,
don't have beautiful relationships with people. They don't
mm,
have connections like this that can go, hey, let's have some reciprocity. Let's have a chat. Let's see what difference we can make in the world, right?
mm. So the fulfillment comes from the being.
100%.
Okay.
If anyone comes to me and says, I want to build a business, I want to make this amount of money, and their energy is around the money, they're not for me. I won't work with them.
Mm,
No problem with that. Absolutely go live your best life. But I'm not the person or the mentor or coach that would work with that. Why? Because they're not making a difference in the world. The
mm,
world needs people that are inventors, that are creators, that have got the next thing to make a difference in the world. They're people I'll work with. I had two beautiful founders that I spoke to this morning that have got an amazing hands-free business for women, but as a side hustle, or, divorced women, what do I do now that I don't have an income? The husband, like financial freedom. Do you know that if the same amount of women, people say, why do I work with women? I don't. I also work with male CEOs. I've got nothing to, I only know how to be a woman, right? And
mm,
I understand the mind of a woman. I'm not a man. Do I understand it? Yeah, I've done enough work to understand the masculine and its beauty. And the ceremony that we were at together was mind blowing. If you haven't been to Awakening, please
mm.
go and check it out, right? Um, I'm all right to do that, aren't I? Of course I
Yeah.
am. I just done it
Yeah.
anyway. So it's
Yeah,
done.
absolutely.
Don't ask for permission, Kelly. Note to
Do
self.
it. No, do it. This is rude.
It's happening like it's
Go
happening.
to
Why?
Awaken. Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
go to Awaken.
exactly.
Got
Right,
an
because
event
when
Sunday as well, actually. They've
they
got
have
a
indeed, they have indeed.
online.
Perhaps you could drop it in if this comes out quick enough. I'm not sure, but um, anyway, if the same amount of women scale businesses in this country that men do, it would add 250 billion pounds to the UK economy. Now, I think that would
Wow.
make a difference, not only in a financial sense, but imagine the nurturing nature of the feminine,
Mm,
the leadership inside of feminine, and the nurturing nature inside of feminine. Imagine going to work where you've got that they're kicking you out the door when it's home time, not expecting you to graft because you want to work and do the work that you're meant to do in the hours that you do, not try and distract and go on a meeting and go, no, no, on the phone when you're meant to be work, all that kind of thing. The
mm.
energetic shift that would have, that's the world that I want to live in. That's the world, the legacy that
That's
I want to
awesome.
look at leaving, and one other fact on that, venture capitalists, so raising money. So I do that with clients as well, in terms of like, that was what got me into the business that I'm doing now. When I looked and I went and looked at, why aren't women getting funding of the 160 billion that's given out every year? Guess what? This is a question for you. What percentage of that do you think go to women?
Out of the 160 billion, um, oh, I'm gonna say it's probably surprisingly low. Maybe it's like 10 to 20%.
Bro, I love it. Love your generosity. Love your thinking. Okay, let's put that one into the RAS and put it out there, right? It's 2%.
Two. Oh wow.
And of that 2%, 0%, 0.4% of that goes to women of color. When I heard that stat, myself and my business partner were sitting there, we're eating popcorn, whatever, like literally, it literally dropped.
Wow,
We were like,
2%.
that we need to go and make a difference in, given who we both are and what we've done and what we're committed to. We were like, there is our answer. Because if you're listening, you'll always hear the answer, going back to your earlier question, what's next for you? If you're quiet enough and not distracted by everything, you will hear what's next for you. Stop not listening to yourself. When
Mm,
you're healthy, when you're clean, like if you've been, do you know what I mean? Like, in that, get to a state whereby you know that, okay, I feel good, like I've slept well, I've ate well, I've exercised, I've moved
mm,
my body, I've done the things. Allow yourself some time. That's why I take myself off so often, so I can have that creative space to just be and do nothing, and then
mm,
watch all the ideas flow and grab hold of the things. Anyway, they're the two stats. That's the reason why I do what I do with women, and I love it.
mm. Yeah, I like what you said about. I'm surprised that the 2%. I was going to say, my guess would be it wasn't going to be a 50-50 split, put it that way, of the funding, but I wouldn't have expected less than 10%, but wow, 2%. I'm glad
I've had a
you're out
few,
there making a difference.
thank you. And we had a few realizations because obviously we're two seasoned CEOs, right? So we're like, okay, let's go and find out why. We didn't know why. We haven't gone for funding. I've never asked for funding for anything I've built. Um, so we went on an investigation. Why do you think it is? Why do you think it is that women aren't?
Um, I wonder if there's like, I don't know, a lack of them asking, just
Yeah,
like
for
that,
sure,
that,
100%. In a
mm,
lineup of 10, you'll normally have three women, three or
mm,
four women.
mm,
A lot of these events are very conscious of it, so they will bring those women in so that there's a split, very much so, and that's kudos to them. But what is it? What's the characteristic? We're sitting there, so we put ourselves in a lot of rooms to go and do our data research to look
mm,
at why, because like we're not arrogant enough to think that we know the answer. We'll go find the data, ask the questions, do the work, right? What we saw immediately, and it was so transparent in every single room. Nothing to do with the guys, by the way. They live in their best life, doing their thing. They're brilliant at getting on a stage. They're brilliant at I'm going to give you the answer here if you listen, right? They're brilliant at value propositions. They're confident. Their self-worth is here. Like they are delivering. And what does an investor invest in? It invests in
the certainty they've got.
of the CEO to be able to deliver. Why? Because inevitably in any business, the shit hits the fan at some point.
Mm,
And if you've invested your money, you're going to want to make sure that you've got a very resilient CEO. Agreed?
yeah,
Yeah, they're
absolutely.
backing this horse, right?
Mm.
So they're backing the human being. What do you think that women lacked on the stage when we watched them? They had amazing businesses, incredible products, incredible services, brilliant ideas. But what did they lack?
Maybe it's that belief in themselves or a
Bingo.
certainty.
Spot on. Self-worth, self-confidence, certainty, the ability to have clarity to articulate themselves, ask powerful questions. I know this is you asking me questions, but you've experienced me asking you questions, right? Because
Mm,
that's how a conversation goes, that we learn each other and then there's natural flow and like that. So that's what we knew was missing. Nothing wrong, by the way. When something's missing, you put it in, it makes a difference.
mm,
Nothing wrong.
And I can think of like some really powerful like women in business out there. And if you look like, I don't know, the likes of Sarah Blakely just comes to mind, someone like that. Like there's absolute certainty in like everything she does, or um, don't
Because
know
she's
that.
living,
What?
can I just drop something in
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
especially for listeners? Because she's living on purpose and she's living her truth. Like
Mm,
you can tell that my business and my message to deliver is my truth.
mm,
Yeah. There's no thing about it. There's no limiting beliefs that it's not the truth, it's my truth.
mm,
People never buy what you're selling, they buy that you buy what you're selling. Because people
mm.
want certainty, by the way, another conversation, but there's no such thing as certainty in the world apart from we're all going to die and pay taxes if we live here, right?
Yeah.
They're the two things that are certain in life.
And you can tell, like, even just from like a sales background, like when I've been the most successful, it was when I had like belief in what I was selling, and I remember us increasing the prices and dropping a lot of things out of what we were, and I was just my certainty in what we were doing and delivery was just going, and it was just like that belief to what you're doing, even if you're selling to someone else, believing that mission.
Mm,
And it just makes such a difference just reflecting on it. You've got to be
100%.
genuinely believing in it.
100%. And it's not the belief in self definitely comes with it because everything's a mirror to us.
Mm.
You can only ever earn that you believe you're worthy of. Remember, going back to the limiting beliefs, make sure you write that one down, right? Like what you want to. But the point about the fact that when you're, as you just said yourself, right, when you do not know, if you have any doubt that the product, service, or offering you have isn't going to make the difference to that human being, then there is no sale. Like that's just trickery. snake oil salesman or whatever the word is, right? Because any business that's not founded on the three principles to found any business, does the client know that they've got the problem they've got? You don't want to educate a market. Yeah, it's too expensive. If you're
Mm.
starting a business, for anyone out there, take these down, right? You literally want to three foundations to start a business. You only ever start a business if you've got these three things that are present. Do the people know? Does your customer know that they have a problem?
Mm.
You do not want to educate them on that problem. No matter how much social media is out there, you do not want to educate people, right? They need to know they've got a problem. Does your product or service or offering solve that problem? People don't ask. It surprises me, but nothing surprises me anymore having coached people like the delusion in the nicest possible way, said with love, people's delusion because they don't ask. Like they don't ask the question of what's your challenge. And as soon as I've got a client, as soon as I've said hello to a client or a new client, I'm like, right, what's your biggest challenge?
Mm.
That's the first question I lead with. That's the only question that normally gets into a 20-minute conversation. Okay, well,
Mm.
how do we overcome that? Okay, we can do this, 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 and this. How about that? I can do that with you. You can get there faster and quicker, or you can spend 10 years trying to work it out. Up to you. Love you either way, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, if they're led or guided by money, then they're not my people. They don't normally come to me anyway. Energetically, I don't attract that.
Mm.
And the third thing is know how to position yourself. Like you have to be able to VP, value proposition, look it up, Google it, chat GPT it. What's my VP? You have to have three problems that your client has that you've got the solution to, right? At least up to three. And then you articulate it beautifully and you own it. You don't read off a script. Everyone can hear when someone's reading off a script because it's not authentically a truth.
Mm.
And people buy when they know, like, and trust.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope that
Love
was
that.
helpful.
No, that's super helpful. The yeah, coming back to like genuine certainty in what you're doing and what you're putting out there. And yeah, asking for me, like asking and understanding someone is a key one. Like nothing does my head in than like a salesperson trying to push something onto me and not understanding me at all. So
Mm.
yeah, asking someone's a problem is a key one. It's like, yeah, for
And the
me.
ability to listen, Johnny, wouldn't you say most people don't listen because
No.
they listen with an intention to respond. Do you know, like they listen, don't listen, but that's not listening.
Mm.
Listening is listening. Listening is without any preconceived idea of like, how am I going to respond? We've had those people around us when you say, oh, I went to the Amazon. Oh, I went there. I done that. Did you do this? Did you do that? Well, it's not listening. Most people don't listen to each other to hear what's being said and also beautifully what's not being said.
Mm.
Because if you allow someone space, that's where the know, like, and trust comes from. Like, are they willing to listen to me? Can
Mm.
they hear what I'm saying and what I'm not saying? There's a skill set that I have. Like I said to you, one of my talents that I've honed in on with investing all that time and energy. I don't even watch TV. The only thing I do is listen to podcasts of constantly evolving. I'm masterful at what I do because I'm constantly learning. And there are so many brilliant people out there, and people like Stephen Bartlett paving the way to be able to have
Mm.
for all the reasons, like people to have access to those experts and people like yourself talking to brilliant people that allows for information to flow. Information is incredible, but the only time information makes a difference, listen up, people, please, is when you take action with the information you get. Because otherwise, you're just becoming more knowledgeable, more mind heavy, and then you're a knowing human being, and a knowing human being doesn't listen, and then they're a know it. Oh, people like that, we're not hanging out with, are we? Right?
No.
I'm like, you want to see myself and my business partner, we're in the company of greatness of any sort, of any kind of person. We're like, how did you do that? What did you do? How did you do it? How do we do that? How do we get our clients to do that? What's the biggest downfall? What's the pitfall? Questioning. That's why I love podcasts, right? The questioning is the key. being curious is the beautiful energy gear that you want to be in whenever you're around human beings. People love sharing their stories, and inside of their stories, you want to download what those people are saying, especially if that person's got what you want. I see someone, I'm like, oh my God, she's so elegant. I want to go and observe her. And I'm like a download. I'm like, okay, look at that, look at that, look at okay.
It's awesome. The questions and the listening in particular, like
Yeah.
diving deep. And yeah, I don't know about you, Kelly, but I've had, like, even when like I've had tough times, I've had people say, "I'm here for you to listen," but they don't listen. It's like
Aha.
it's like
Can I ask
mm,
you a question?
yeah,
Honestly now, and I know this is like vulnerability on the spot here.
go for it.
Darling, when people ask you and say to you, I'm here for you, and you're having a dark night of the soul, having a bad day, please tell me how often out of the 10 times you might have done it, say, for example,
Mm,
has said it, they've said that to you. How often do you honestly reach out and say, hey, I'd like to take you up on that offer? Can we have a chat?
mm. I would say yeah, maybe like 50% of the time.
Okay, that's high.
Mm,
Okay. Most people don't do it.
mm,
Most people don't do it. They don't, it's hidden from their view that they don't. They
mm.
might tell themselves they do, but they actually don't do it.
Yeah.
They don't take the action, which is why I'm like, let information. We don't need more information. We need to action the things we've got the information on. This podcast has given a ton of information, starting a new business, how to get purpose, the actions to take, like how to be not in your mind, how to be in your body. What action are you going to take out? The result of it is all I really want to know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because the
Thanks.
action is the only thing that's going to make a difference. It's going to shift the trajectory. Remember sliding doors? If those of you are older and remember it, but basically, whatever action you take now, like the butterfly effect, whatever, it's going to cause a different outcome than when you didn't take the action. You want more money? Okay, great. Go learn how to do that. There's a ton of resources on the internet,
Mm. The action.
but
Yeah.
people just
And
don't do it.
encourage you from today. Like I always say, I think it was a quote where I've had to catch myself out, but Napoleon Hill, was it Napoleon Hill said it originally? It's like knowledge is potential power, it's not power. It's when you take it with action. I think that was him who quoted something along
Well,
those
listen,
lines.
it doesn't even matter whether we don't worry about getting anything right. The message is 100% in there. And it's like, I've done 2 years of doing the work on myself, and then I go back into dating, and you want to know, it's like, oh my God, this is where the rubber hits the road. I'm like, oh, I haven't really shifted, but I had, like I was experiencing all the experiences. Then they leave me, and then I'm left with, actually, no, energetically, that didn't make me feel great. That's not for me. Whereas before, I'd have been like, okay, that person likes me, they'll do. And I got married twice that way. I didn't know at the time. Remember, I point
Mm,
out things that are hidden from people's view, and I've done the 9 yards, and I've had 2 divorces as a result of it. When it comes to relationships, is one of the areas of my expertise, because I wasted so much time and so much energy, which is where we connected on that conversation that we had, right? When I
mm,
said to you, please do not do what I've done and spend a couple of decades trying to work out, because we can't work it out with the same mind that caused the problem in the first place,
mm,
right? We need new lessons, new learning, and then we need to go action them.
mm,
So I didn't know that I was something called codependent. I had no idea, because of the beautiful mum that I was born to, the way that I was loved, and all of those things that resulted in me having that. And then I go and do the work, undo it, and now I'm like, okay, great, let me go. But when only until I go into the dating world and actually do it rather than think about doing it. See, people think they do it and they get a dopamine hit out of the thought about doing it. And the
mm.
dopamine hit's an addictive way of being, which is why social media works so much, right?
Yeah.
Like it's an addiction, and it gives you a dopamine hit. You feel like you've done it, but you actually haven't done the thing.
Yeah.
You think about doing the thing, you get a dopamine hit. I wish you didn't. I wish we weren't made that way, because then more people would be in action, because you need to do the action to get a dopamine hit.
Yeah. I love that. No, thanks,
A
Kelly,
bit
for shit.
mind-boggling though as well. When I
Yeah.
first heard someone say that, I'm like, that's me. That's what I do.
Thinking about doing it, yeah, definitely been guilty of that as well. Like thinking about doing it
I don't
rather
think
than
there'd
doing
be a
it.
human being on the planet, darling, that would honestly
No,
say that they're not, right?
they're not. No, no, I love it, Kelly. Kelly, no, there's so much more we could go into today, and you shared a ton of value, and I know you're obviously dropping a lot of value out there and providing a lot of service to people. So as we like wrap up today, is there maybe a final point that you want to emphasize from what we talked about today, or maybe add on? And then also, where can the listener find you if they want to connect or find out more about some of your work?
Brilliant. Johnny, firstly, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for the time that you put into this. You have been so beautiful in giving me what I needed. So thank you. Kudos to you as a human being that's been of service. You're amazing and I love you. Thank you. The final point that I want to leave everyone with is there's really nothing wrong. Wherever you are is exactly where you're meant to be. And please allow for that. Because when you allow everything to be as it is, there's a space. It's called stimulus and response for those people that like looking stuff up,
Mm,
right? There's a space that allows the glue to become unstuck, right? When someone's stuck in something, allow yourself to be stuck. That's the way you become unstuck. But when we resist, you know the way you resist persists. Oh, I'm stuck. I need to find the answer. And then no, Google won't give it to me. ChatGPT won't. No one's listening to me even when I ask for help, and then I call them and I don't get any help. Those people, yeah. That bit is like allow yourself the space and the gift of time. You have more than enough time to just sit with yourself and ask yourself, what's going to make me happy, and do more of that in your day.
mm,
Right. And then when your happiness levels start to shift, your want to take action will start to shift. Your ability to hear conversations and the gold in conversations like this and all the other ones that Johnny's providing and all the podcasts out there and all the gold, you'll start hearing it differently. That will then start you bringing more joy to your life. I'm all about the joy, right? And where can people find me? So my Instagram is the best place to get hold of me, and it's Kelly, which is Kelly, and then it's D with a number one, UFS.
I love
Johnny,
that.
thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate you and coming on and sharing everything today. We'll be sure to link those links up below so the listener can get in touch with you.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
you.
darling. Take
Cool.
care. Mwah.
So
Ciao, ciao.
that concludes our episode for today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.